What's up, fellow bike nerds? Welcome back to the Weekly Rewind, where we catch you up on all the hottest cycling news from the previous week. Today, we're looking at two slippery new road bikes, a new set of clipped, not clipless pedals, and reports of a new World Cup team, but without a downhill bike. Before we get started though, I want your feedback on something real quick. We're talking about potentially doing an audio-only podcast version of the Weekly Rewind, which you could get on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you access your podcasts. Right now, we're just trying to gauge interest on whether or not you guys would like them. So if you would or wouldn't, then let us know down there in the comments. I'd really appreciate that. Now though, on to the bikes. The first new product I want to highlight from last week is the all-new Basso SV. The SV here stands for Sempre Veloce, Italian for always fast. And at first glance, I wouldn't blame you for thinking this was an all-out World Tour ready bike. But it's not. Basso's goal here was to make a bike that was just about as aerodynamic, quick, and light as a race bike, but as comfortable and versatile as an all-road bike. So what does that mean in practice? Well, first of all, the reduced frontal area and camtail tubing throughout makes it more aerodynamic than any of Basso's current offerings, even with the higher stack and sloping top tube. Basso has also done quite a bit to improve comfort. The aforementioned sloped top tube leaves more exposed seat posts, and that combined with the new 35mm tire clearance should make it plenty compliant on less than ideal surfaces. But remember, the bike's name is always fast, not always comfortable. So Basso has also gone ahead and increased stiffness in important areas like the head tube and the bottom bracket for enhanced power delivery and handling as well. Last but not least, the Basso SV is also fully designed and constructed in Italy. But of course, that's not doing too much to keep prices down. There's a few different models available and prices start at $8,995 for complete bikes, and you can get a frame set for $5,795. But Basso wasn't the only company dropping a new road bike last week. We also saw this, the freshly updated Ridley Noah Fast, a bike that Ridley claims to be their fastest bike ever. The all-new Noah Fast has taken full advantage of the UCI's new 8-to-1 rule that allows for tubes to be up to 8 times longer than they are wide. This new design helps make the bike 8.5 watts faster than its predecessor. But it's not just tubing shapes that have been changed. The new Noah Fast also gets slightly tweaked geometry, most notable being the steeper 76-degree seat tube angle and improved tire clearance, now fitting 34mm rubber. Also new this year is Ridley's Nimbus Aero cockpit, which is just 36 centimeters wide at the shifters, but has a slight flare, bumping out to 40 centimeters in the drops. As for pricing, the Ridley is available in two different complete bike options, starting at 8,799 euros, as well as a frame set for 5,499 euros. Ridley has also stated that there will be a non-fast version of the Noah coming out as well. That will be using a lower grade carbon layup, which should definitely bring prices down a bit more. Up next is a product launch that I'm probably most stoked on from this past week, and that is that RaceFace is now going to be making their Aero and turbine cranks in a shorter 160mm length. Shorter cranks have been growing increasingly popular over the last couple years. It's awesome to see RaceFace jump on that train. Though, if I'm honest, I would have loved to see some 155mm cranks as well, but hey, not gonna complain. Now, other than the updated crank length, the cranks are pretty much left unchanged and still get the same lifetime no questions asked warranty. It's also worth noting that RaceFace makes an adapter that allows their cranks to be run with Bosch CX and SX motors. On a side note, I actually just bought myself a pair of 155mm cranks that I'm going to be putting on my trail bike. So if you're interested to see us do a test where we, review those 155mm cranks next to maybe some 165s and 170s, then let me know in the comments and we'll see if we can make that happen. Another exciting product that came out last week are these all new OneUp clip pedals. And yes, OneUp has decided to ditch the antiquated moniker clipless and go with the much less confusing designation of clip pedals. These guys in particular use an SBD system surrounded by a large 80x90mm aluminum platform with replaceable pins. In addition to being longer and wider than most pedals on the market, they're also narrower, coming in at just 27mm at their widest point. Best yet, being from OneUp, the clip pedal is available in 8 different colors, complementing the rest of their component range, and will set you back $160. The next product I want to highlight has to be one of the more unique things I've seen come out of the cycling space in a little while, and that is the Argo Cargo 2.0 DIY cargo bike kit. This allows you to turn virtually any bike into a front-loading cargo bike with 150 pounds or 68 kilogram capacity. The new design is said to be both stronger and lighter than its predecessor, and, at least for now, costs $200 less, putting the total price at $1,099. For that, you're going to get a 20-inch front wheel, Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, integrated kickstand, and even 2 child safety harnesses and a removable bench for the cargo box. What's more, the installation process looks relatively simple, meaning it should be feasible to make the switch between recreational riding and grocery hauling regularly. I genuinely think this is an awesome idea. It's a great way to get a cargo bike for a relatively affordable price, especially if you've got an old bike laying around that you don't use very often. So kudos to Argo for making this happen. The final product that I want to highlight from last week isn't really a product at all, and that's because it's free. Meet the recently updated Wolftooth Tire Pressure Calculator app. The app, which is compatible with mountain, road, gravel, and fat bikes, works by taking rider weight, riding style, tire size and width, and even temperature, and outputting a recommended tire pressure. I went ahead and tried this out with my own numbers, and the app gave me an output that was about 5 psi less than what I typically run on my trail bike. Now, as far as I know, Wolftooth hasn't released any data or shown us how they derive this formula, so at this point I would say to take whatever the app gives you with a grain of salt, but regardless, it's a pretty cool tool, especially considering the fact that it's free. Moving now from new products to industry gossip. The first story we're covering this week is the return of the Pros Closet. The used bike dealer is getting a second lease on life under the ownership of L-Share Companies, a private investment firm. They've gone ahead and hired back much of the old management, leased a new warehouse, and have already started collecting inventory that they will, of course, hopefully resell to you. Now, details are a bit sparse on how TPC 2.0 is going to be doing things differently than they did in the past, but one thing that did stand out from their press release is that they're now going to be offering a consignment program. This, according to TPC, will allow for larger seller payouts and hopefully prevent them from ending up with a backlog of unsold bikes. All in all, it's great to see continued investment in the Pros Closet, and we wish all the folks there the best of luck. It seems like every week there's some new drama regarding the upcoming World Cup Downhill Series, and this week is no exception. A few weeks ago, we heard that FMD Racing had parted ways with Canyon, and we've now learned that the new team sponsor will be Orbea. Now, this in and of itself usually wouldn't be newsworthy enough to make this video, but the fact that Orbea doesn't currently have a downhill bike to use in the Downhill World Cup makes it exceptionally interesting. Now, in the past, Martin Mays has ridden a modified Orbea Wild EMTB at a few downhill events, but we'd imagine they have plans for further developing this platform, especially considering the stacked list of riders, including Tawny and Chaos Seagrave, who will now be riding for Orbea. While we're at it, also worth noting that Martin Mays will be fully committed to downhill racing for 2025, so expect to see him in the gates in Poland this May. Our last bit of news is a bit bittersweet. As I'm sure all of you know, over the last week or so, LA has been hit by some of the most destructive wildfires in modern history, and it turns out that the bike industry was not immune to its devastating effect. Many long-term industry folks and local bike shops have lost literally everything because of these fires. But we cyclists stand up for each other, and Bicycle Retailer News has put together a list of several crowdfunding campaigns to help those in need. And if you know of any more you'd like to add, you can email Brain at info@bicycleretailer.com. As always, I want to wrap this thing up by sharing something that got me stoked from the previous week that I hope will do the same for you. This time around, we've got none other than Danger Home's latest creation, a Mad Max-inspired Scott Solus. This carbon fiber frame has been painted with an iron powder paint, so what you're looking at is actual rust. It also gets saw blades for disc rotors, an additional frame member in the front triangle, and best yet, a fully custom truss fork with an integrated cockpit. According to Danger Home, the bike is fully rideable, though obviously not as performance-oriented as most of its builds. Hopefully, you can keep those dystopian dream bike photos circling around in your head over this next week or so. Now, before you get out of here, do us a favor and hit that like button to help other people find this video, as well as subscribe to the 99 Spokes channel to make sure you don't miss the next one. After you've done that, get out of here and remember that bikes are for everyone. Have fun out there.